Happy Monday, huh? So watching the tape right now, lifting. We'll get on a practice field today, this afternoon, a little bit, and then we got a good week ahead. So we'll go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, have our walkthrough on Friday, and then play on Saturday. So obviously a little disappointed in the game, not up to our standard, but a lot of learning went on, and we see what we need to get corrected, and we'll do that. What do we got?
I know, like last week at the practice, Trey was talking about like anything coaches are always talking about, it's never as good as you think, it's never as bad as you think. When you went back and looked at the tape, did you kind of get that impression?
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely some guys that played well, but what goes into winning football games is everybody playing well, so we didn't do enough collectively.
What's the overall assessment of the week in Denver, though, including the
I liked it. I thought we got a lot done. There was, all three coordinators showed some tape from Thursday again. I liked where the volume was at from a standpoint of getting our guys, a bunch of reps on Thursday. And it was good just to go through traveling, playing at night, you know what I mean, and your routine of what that looks like. There's a lot of good connecting going on for those days that you're there in the hotel with our players, which was cool. So overall, I liked doing that. It was a great setup. They were awesome. They're very gracious, and it was good. But now we're back here and go through kind of put them through volume-wise, kind of going to ramp our volume now, is kind of going through a game week, prep. I know we're short a day because they were off yesterday, but what that looks like on a normal Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then play at home. So got a lot to learn as it relates to that.
Who were the guys who stood out to you as playing particularly well on Saturday?
Teo, I thought Gainsey had a good day. Jacoby obviously had a good day. I thought Mike Carter had a good day. Some guys stood on teams. I thought Simi made some plays on teams. Ben Whitley had made a couple plays on teams. Keaton did a good job. Trying to think who else. In his limited snaps, Jordan Birch did a pretty good job. So just some guys that off the top of my head.
What's the latest on Hayden?
He's going to miss some time with a knee.
Coach, knowing that you're kind of getting ramped up for game week, your regular season stuff, will you game plan at all this week for getting guys in that kind of mode?
Mm-mm. No, I mean, obviously, when I say we don't game plan, but obviously they have a call sheet and menus, and it's, a blend of what I say good on good. It's just us playing versus each other, competing, and then a little bit of blend of what will be ran versus Vegas. But we're not fully game planning those guys.
You mentioned Michael Carter. You guys have had a deep running back room the last couple of years. Obviously, as a coach, you want all those guys, so you have a deep room and you have hard decisions. But what's that like when you're trying to make those decisions and all of those guys are showing you something that makes it work?
It's good. It's good. It's the best thing for the team. Those guys doing a good job for themselves and competing for their role. So, we got a lot of rooms like that, though, right now. There really are. So this week's very important. The game's going to be very important for those decisions moving forward.
One preseason game left and cut down day looming. How do your conversations with Monty, how do they evolve from what you're having kind of early in camp?
Same.
You mentioned Keaton standing out on teams overall through 2 preseason games. How do you assess where he's at?
He's done some good things. I think, I know he had the pick, but I've seen his balls. He's got ball skills. He's operating pretty well. But as a rookie safety in this defense, just like Rabbit was last year, it's kind of funny. Like, there's some things that he's got to keep improving on schematically, execution-wise. But he plays how you want to play. I know that. I mean, he's physical. He's violent. He can run. So those things are typically good. But I'm pleased where he's at, knowing that he's got a long way to go. He'll tell you that. But I like where he's trending right now.
When you guys were together in Indy, anything that stands out to you with Jacoby that's changed or different about him?
The thing that's not different is he's a pro, man. Like, he does a lot. Like, he prepares the way you should prepare. He sees a lot. He's very knowledgeable. Where I probably didn't have my eye on it as much in Indy, because I had my head down doing my own thing, where I kind of have a little bit more of a bird's eye view as the type of teammate that he is. I mean, he's guys, him and Kyler have a really good relationship, but just him and his teammates and asking questions and trying to get better, he's got a really good command on that too, which is good.
Where's the, oh, sorry.
Were any of those things, the being a teammate, was that something you thought about bringing him in?
Yeah. We anybody that we acquire, that's one of the first things we talk about.
With Mike Carter, last season probably was not the year he was expecting in terms of spending most of the season on the practice squad. But what have you learned about him, maybe as a player, as a person, that stood out to you going into this year?
He loves ball. He loves to compete, loves to practice, always got a smile on his face. He'll do whatever you tell him to do. He's a really good teammate, too. And he's a guy that throughout his career, and specifically I'll say the time that he's been here with us, is he maximizes his opportunities.
You said that Jacoby and Kyler have a good relationship. Where do you seeing Kyler kind of leaning on or getting help from his experience?
You're probably a better question for those two, but I just think the back and forth of talking through plays and what Drew's saying, what is saying, what they see, schematically, defenses, what they're trying to accomplish, what they're trying to do. It's good back and forth. They're two smart, really smart players, and so when you have that, the conversations are next level.
Coach, assuming that starters will not play this coming Saturday.
We'll see. I want to see how this week goes and then make a decision.
You mentioned after the game that you really like Trey Benson's camp. What are the things he's doing now that maybe he wasn't doing last year?
Well, in the game, because it's hard to fully evaluate what I'm going to say until the game, but I thought on game day he finished runs better and he was more decisive. So I know his skill set's there, but just the details of his, where his eyes are, his tracks, I think that got better. But I think the play speed was better, just the decisiveness and finishing runs. I thought he took a jump.
You remember back in the day when the preseason was like game 3 was kind of the penultimate preseason when the starters would get in there for a half. What's changed over the last decade or so?
Well, there's not 4 anymore. There used to be 4, right? So I think so. That's 3 off the top of my head. So that seems like a lot. So 3 was kind of, everybody does. That's a good question, Craig. It's and 2 with the starters playing this and that, you think, oh, well, you would never play your starters preseason 3 if you don't play them preseason 2. Not necessarily. Guys do it different ways. It's just kind of the setup of camp. If you get to joint practice or not, home and away. When does week 1? What's the health of your team? Who do you feel good about? Like how many roster spots, if we sat down right now, how many roster spots we think are still available, I would say. How many aren't? Different teams are all different, and different coaches have different ways of thinking about it. Again, I don't think there's one right or wrong way to do it. And there's honestly pros and cons of however you do it, so the most important thing for us is maximizing today and this week as we move forward to get better as players and a football team and coaches and be ready to play on Saturday.
How many of those roster spots are available?
Say it again. I'm not going to tell you that. That's a good question. I knew that was coming, Josh.
You mentioned after the game
There's a lot. I would say this. There's a lot of competition for spots.
You mentioned after the game some coverage issues on the second level. Overall, with that inside.
Third level.
After the game, you said second. Do you think there's issues on
Sorry. I thought. Oh, you're right. Third level, we were okay. After watching the tape, no, we were not okay on the third level. 2 snaps stand out in my head that I showed the team today, which is the reason for explosives, and we got annihilated in an explosive play battle, which is the reason you lose by 20. We have to do a better job of so I don't even know what your question was, but I'm going to just talk. We have to do a better job consistently playing with the right technique and getting on the right people with the right leverage. That's what I would say from the back end, and that's not just the corners, it's not just the safeties, the nickels, the linebackers, just collectively as a whole, everybody, because we show flashes and it's good, like in the Denver practice or even in the game, And then when it's not, you get beat, you know, and so we got to do a better job of that.
My question was going to be.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, that was a great explanation.
It's hard for me because I just come from the team meeting and then I got things in my head and probably giving you guys too much information.
Always good. Always welcome. The second level, the inside linebackers, how do you kind of view that group other than Mac Wilson right now, where those guys are at?
I like where all they're at. I do like where they're at. You know, I think it's a tight competition. You know, fourth down goes into that. I thought Akeem had a good week. You know, I know he didn't play a ton, but I thought he had a good week. I thought Cody had a good game. Owen's doing some good things, you know. Mike Walker, Vi, you know, is doing a good job. That's why I say that's one of the hot spots for me, honestly. And fourth down plays a factor into that happening too. So, you know, there's a lot of ball to be played still this week with those guys. But I think Christian's doing a good job with them. You know, all of them have now had green dot experience either in practice, joint practice, or the game, which is one of the reasons for the rotation, how it kicked out week 1 and week 2, and it'll be different this week, which was a good question by you after the game. But we'll see. We'll see how it keeps going. You know, we'll see how it keeps going.
Who do you think is taking the biggest step with that green dot, just from where they started?
Green dot, I'm not concerned about any of them, honestly. As far as the operation of things, I'm looking for playmakers in there. You know, that's where I'm still kind of, you know, like I said, they've all done good. I'm not down on any of them. It's a tight battle.
There was a 70-yarder hit in the first week of the preseason by the Jags. How far are you comfortable maybe testing somebody like Ryland?
You know, I think they had 10 guys on that snap too. Really? Yeah, how about that? Go back and watch the tape. I watched it. They got 10 guys on there. I'm comfortable with. I know he's got a big leg. You know, game flow has something to do with that. You know, when you're willing to put him out there for extremely long. You know, what their block team looks like. You know, that goes into that.
With that thumb, just what's that say about his makeup? And he's fought through some over the past couple of years.
Yeah, he's been nicked a little bit. Like I think he got hurt in Minnesota that one preseason, right? Yeah, I know Danny's not here, but she asked me a question: why didn't he go into center when Hayden got hurt? He's got a cast on; he can't exactly snap. Although that'll be, I think this week he might be able to snap, but. He's resilient, man. He really is. He puts a lot into his craft. He's A++ character. He's tough as nails. And he's one of the smartest guys we got in that room. So his value of being able to play multiple positions and things like that, I feel good about him, where his game's at right now.
Trey was your leading receiver in terms of yards a year ago, Trey McBride. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about having a non-receiver leading the team in yards?
Whatever you got to do to win the game, honestly. I mean, that's how I really feel. Like you guys know, what do we need to do to win a game? You know, and if that's, you know, the tight end gets a bunch of balls, if that's the tight end getting nothing, if we win the game, that's okay. You know what I mean? Now we got to be, you know, in a certain aspect balanced. It can't get way out of whack. You know what I mean? I like the ball. The hardest teams to cover to me are the guys that you come out of the game. One guy's got 8, one guy's got 6, one guy's got 5, one guy's got 3. It's like, man, like it's a tough way to go on defense when it's like that, and it's efficient. You know, but with saying is that how you want us to play? Is that how you want me to play right now? Not if that's not how the game calls for it. If you're trying to force feed different people or one person and that's what they're taking away, you don't want to go down like that. So I think the name of the game is efficiency, and the quarterback putting the ball where it should be put.
About guys' eyes on how easy is that to see on film, on a game film?
Pretty easy. One is their reaction, and 2 is you typically ask them. I'm not trying to be like funny. You just ask them like, "Where'd you have your eyes on that?" "Oh my God, my eyes were on the wrong guy." You know what I mean? You just kind of when you see something on tape or in the game or live or in practice, and you don't get the reaction that you think that he should have. The first thing you ask, to me, one of the first things on defense is, "Where were your eyes?" You know. And they'll typically tell you.
Do those, when that happens, do they kind of already know in the back of their head?
Yeah, they know. They know.
You said Saturday's game wasn't up to standard. What was your gut reaction during and after that game?
We gave up too many explosives and didn't gain enough yards and first downs and points. You know what I mean? But I think, offensively we got to operate a little bit better, all 11. And defensively, you can't give up that many explosives. I think you're going to win.
In the joint practice, I think first half of the joint practice, basically every ball to Marv was incomplete, which we've seen a little bit in training camp. Are you okay with kind of the steps that him and Kyler have taken in their connection?
I am. I think it's further along than when we ended the year, which is good. I think it's further along right now than what OTAs look like, even the first part of camp. I like where that's trending. I'm excited about it. We'll get some good work here this week too on it.
What are the areas
Good
that
on
they've
good.
taken those steps?
I think, like I was talking to somebody yesterday about, from a quarterback standpoint of how it's downplayed and then talking with our coaches about this. And I was like, is this true? Like, I never played the position. I never coached the position. So how guys come out of breaks affects the efficiency of when you're throwing it to him, and I always thought, well, if he's supposed to come out of his break at 14 yards and it's a 90-degree break or a 45-degree break or whatever that looks like, and, just the quarterback, feeling and seeing, and then is he on air or is there a body on him? How is he going to come out of it? All those different things. It's fascinating. It really is. So just I think, honestly, those guys getting in the lab together and then reps have helped them play a little bit better. Okay. Thank you, guys.